You are Locked On Twins Postcast, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Minnesota Twins, they dropped game one in St. Louis. Final score 5-3. Twins 1-2-3 hitters start the year 0 for 12. Not bad. Not bad. What's going on back in the lab? Back at it. First Twins postcast of 2025 right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. That's the man. He's back. CJ Baumgartner. He's on X at BaumCJ30. Twins expert over at Zone Coverage. Man, CJ, what were the odds we'd start 2025 with a rain delay? What, even money? Minus 180? Of course we did.
Yeah, exactly. And at the same time, the odds that the first day the Twins are on the MLB.TV app that it crashes. So we're 2 for 2 today.
We're right on cue, baby. We're right on cue. Yeah, hey, a lot more season, 161 more games. We got to knock the rust off here a little bit. Yeah, almost a 2-hour rain delay to kick off the season in game one. Lots to get into, including Pablo Lopez's day on the mound. Plus, I got a ton of season-long team predictions I want to rip through with you, CJ. But first, quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by Gametime. Gametime, download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. All right, so we start things in St. Louis, 3-game road trip. Pablo Lopez on the mound, gets behind early with a 1-run first inning, then a 2-run homer in the second, and then you add on an RBI single in the fourth. All of a sudden, it's 4-0 after the first 3 innings. Fifth inning, new center fielder Harrison Bader hits the first home run of the year for the Twins. That cuts the lead in half. He had a good day, actually, in the 9 spot. He was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Sixth inning, Willie Castro, he hits an RBI double. That gets them within 1, 4-3. Cardinals, though, they tack on an insurance run in the 8th. And that was kind of all she wrote. Final score 5-3. CJ, just start us kind of big picture. Biggest takeaways from this one, kind of your 8 topics. What stuck out the most, I guess, in game one from this 2025 season opener in St. Louis?
Yeah, 2 things. I think 1, the rain delay kind of had Pablo looking a little sluggish out there. Definitely was not sharp to kind of get that going, and it caught up with him. The other thing is the runners in scoring position. I believe they went 1 for 9 today. So
not great.
That's a lot of the demons of last year that they're still trying to shake off. That didn't do them any favors. They certainly had their opportunities to win this game, and they just couldn't get it done.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
How about that? You like these new graphics, huh? Check out these bells and
like
whistles, CJ, baby. We're moving up. What was the turning point of tonight's game, CJ, for you?
I think, weirdly, it kind of happened pretty much early in the game, and I think it was that second throwing error by Pablo Lopez.
Yeah.
It was the first throwing error, but the second time that they really had a runner dead to rights and kind of airmailed that ball, and I think it just kind of overall set the tone of the game of like just not quite as sharp today for Pablo Lopez, and that Twins just weren't quite able to come out of the 4 runs he gave up, and I think it was early. Not that was the make or break point, but it certainly just kind of set the tone. Like, if we win, it's gonna be a tough one today.
Yeah, 5 innings, 8 hits, 2 earned, 3 Ks, no walks, 87 pitches. They're obviously gonna need him. Same conversation as last year, right? They're gonna need him to be a stud this year and almost that Cy Young type of dude if they're gonna be who we think the Twins are capable of, I feel like, in 2025. How was his spring training leading up to this first start? And I guess what did you see from him outside of the throwing errors in the field, specifically on the mound in game one? Well, where's kind of his stock, I guess, pointing right now, albeit obviously very early in the year?
Yeah, Pablo Lopez had a really great opening day start the last 2 times. And you know what? You're going to have a clunker every once in a while. It just happened to be on the first game of the season. But I think in spring training overall, his numbers don't look great. But I think Pablo Lopez has said this before. He uses spring training as that time to tweak and that time to mess with stuff because, well, the stats don't really count in spring training. So those can kind of skew you a little bit. But I think overall with Pablo Lopez, I think in the second half, and he did this in both of his first 2 seasons with the Twins, was really his stronger half, and it took him a little bit of time to get going, and the reasons why were just allowing too many base runners and then the untimely home runs, and that 2-run home run he gave up kind of in the, I believe that was in the 3rd inning, really didn't help matters, and in fact ended up being the difference when the Twins lose by 2. So it's just kind of things like that. When Pablo Lopez struggles, It's just not quite hitting his spots, allowing too many base runners. And then, the home runs definitely allowing all those runners to score certainly don't help things. He did give up a lot of those last year, albeit 2 strikeouts away from getting 200. So you take the good with the bad.
Absolutely. Well said there. Plenty more deep dive from this one. I want to get into some season-long team predictions, plus our nerdy stat of the day. That's back this year, and that's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by FanDuel. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the MLB. Right now, FanDuel is giving you a chance at a huge return, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 bet. Why I love FanDuel? When you get the hunch in the middle of the game, you can go check out the latest stats. You can view live play-by-play, all from the same page where you place your bets. Again, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you hit your first $5 wager. Go check it all out over at FanDuel.com. Plus, get on some MLB future action while you're there. Twins plus 210 right now to win the AL Central. Pablo Lopez 20-1 to win the AL Cy Young. It's all sitting up over at FanDuel.com. Again, check it all out over at FanDuel.com and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 wager. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the MLB. All right, nerdy stat of the daytime. Any crazy stat or maybe like fun analytic Twins related? Always one of my favorite segments every show. First one of the year. Lay it on us. What do you got?
Well, I was thinking about going with the 1 for 9 in runners for scoring position, but I didn't want to make us feel sad right off the bat. But this one maybe doesn't help matters much. Since we're on the Pablo Lopez track, this is from Aaron Gleeman on X. He said Pablo Lopez just 1 homer on a total of 599 changeups thrown all of last season.
Wow.
And that home run he gave up was on his 10th changeup of this season. So, of course, and that home run wasn't necessarily in the worst spot, maybe a little, not quite the spot Jeffers wanted to hit, but ultimately was able to do a lot with it. I believe Nootbaar hit that out. So, Pablo Lopez just got a little unlucky with that one today.
Some season-long team predictions from you, CJ. Let's just start with this. The identity of the Minnesota Twins in 2025 will be what? Like their biggest strength, the core of their identity, what they'll be known for, I guess, this season is what?
It's going to be their pitching. And I think realistically, their starting pitching is going to be what carries him. I mean, Pablo Lopez didn't have his best stuff today, but he's going to give you a good outing most nights. You have Ober, you have Ryan, you have Chris Paddock, who's coming back off injury. And then you have Simeon Richardson, who's coming off a career year and proven he can be a starter on the back end of your rotation. Yeah. And not only that, you have David Festa in AAA. You have Zebby Matthews. You have a few other guys down in St. Paul.
We're loaded.
Yeah, exactly. That starting pitching pipeline is the buzzword. I don't know if I quite use it, but that's the thing. They are loaded at starting pitching, and it's a lot like what they did in 2023 when they had Malley and Maeda go down early. They had Ober and Varland ready to take their spots, and last year the Twins ran into issues with that. Their starting rotation wasn't as deep. Now, albeit it's with the same guys, but they're a little more experienced. They got that taste of big league action, and they're another year kind of along in their development process. I think this is a good year for the Twins starting rotation. I think the bullpen is going to be above average as well, but I think the real strength of this team most nights is going to be out of that starting rotation.
They've been trying to add to this pitching pipeline through the draft and young prospects. It feels like a decade and a half. Now it feels like we're actually between last year with the young kids, like you said, the young pups, Zebby Matthews, Simeon Woods Richardson, all these guys, plus their core, their big three at the top. It feels like we're finally seeing the fruits of all their labor. Is it even crazy enough to think that if everybody stays healthy, at the trade deadline, they could actually move one of these guys, whoever it may be, just to add another bat in the lineup or get better in some other area?
Yeah, I think that's a possibility if you feel like everybody's going well. I know Chris Paddock's in the last year of his contract, so you got to prioritize kind of the next year aspect of it as well. But I mean, it's not just Matthews and it's not just Festa. There's a couple other guys whose names escape me, kind of that are right on the edge. I believe Culpepper's a name. Lewis is another name. Kind of for pitchers in their minor league system that are close. Marco Raya close as well. I mean, they got a lot of pitchers down in that farm system that are kind of AAA to big league ready. And I think, whether it's kind of Zebi or whether it's Festa or it's any of those pitchers down the line, they have, for lack of a better term, a little bit of a glut prospect wise. And if you're going to need to make a move at the deadline, that's an area you could certainly look at.
Yeah, I know they the year they drafted Walter Jenkins, I know they drafted later in the first round Soto, who's still super young. I think he's like 19, but so far so good, it sounds like, just from early signs and indications that someday he could be a dude as well. Fangraphs predicts the Twins are going to have the best bullpen in the league this year, and actually by a wide margin when it comes to WAR, wins above replacement. What makes this bullpen so good on paper, and what actually needs to happen, I guess, for them to be the best in the bigs in 2025?
Well, remember last year, the Twins were also predicted to have the best bullpen in baseball, according to Fangraphs, and that kind of fell apart a little bit. But
so we're due. We can't go over 2. We're due.
Right. And Duran missed the first month of the season, so he, that factored into it. Brock Stewart wasn't healthy, and now Brock Stewart isn't quite healthy right now. But I think what makes the Twins bullpen so good is the fact that you have your 8-9 guys, and I know that Jax didn't have the best outing today, but Griffin Jax is going to be a solid reliever for you this year. You have Duran, you have Justin Topa, who you didn't see much of last year, but you hope he can be kind of some of the later inning high leverage spots. And then the emergence of Cole Sands, and that gives you 4 legitimate major league relievers right there. And then if you throw Brock Stewart back into the mix when he gets healthy, that's 5. And that's just a really good unit. And then you kind of have a few on the end who are at least serviceable. And I think when you just look at the high-end talent of the Twins bullpen, Griffin Jax, Joan Duran, that's a 1-2 punch in baseball that not many teams have, if any. And I think that's really what sets them apart.
Yeah, well said there for sure. Blank will lead the team in home runs in 2025 for the Twins. Who is it?
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, you could go with
There's no
Buxton.
Just clear-cut leader here, There's no obvious choice, I feel like. You got a couple names as potential dudes.
Yeah, I mean, I think if things go the way the Twins think they're going to go this season, the home run leader is going to be Matt Wallner, because it feels like he's finally gotten his footing in the big leagues. He had a slow start last year, got right back into it. He's going to be the team's primary replacement for Max Kepler, and he's the leadoff hitter. So he's just going to get the most at-bats out of anybody this season. I think Matt Wallner is a strong candidate to lead the Twins in home runs this year.
Yeah, for sure. Can't go wrong with that one. That one makes a lot of sense. Don't go anywhere. A couple more team predictions left for you. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode also brought to us by Prizepicks. Prizepicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 10 million members to date now. For me and my money, by far the easiest. It's the most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and you watch your favorite players. It's so simple. All you got to do, you pick more or less on 2 or more players' stats. You watch the winnings roll in. Baseball season officially is here. So it could be strikeouts, RBIs, home runs, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less. Add them to your Prizepicks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the Prizepicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 instantly with any $5 wager. A real quick preview of Game 2. Game 2 on Saturday. Joe Ryan on the mound. First pitch, 1:10 p.m. Joe Ryan, this spring training has looked like what? And can you remind us also, ETA on Royce Lewis returning to the lineup, what that looks like?
Yeah, so for Royce Lewis, I mean, obviously he suffered that injury, on I think the Twins' very first broadcast of the new Twins.tv, and Rocco Baldelli famously had to cut the interview off to go check on him. I think Royce Lewis, I haven't seen anything official, but it kind of sounds like from reports that it's going to be kind of the next month, that first month of the season. Expect him to be out and kind of see where things pick up in May, kind of as that next spot for Royce.
The biggest threat in the AL Central for the Twins this year. So this Central seems to be a 4-team race on paper. Like what's your pecking order, kind of your power rankings look like if I made you go from best to worst right now, sitting here on March 27th?
Well, I think it's safe to say we can rule out the White Sox. That is something that, even though they won today, first time above 500 in like 2 years. So good for them. But I think overall, if you were kind of to rank it, I think the number one threat has to be Cleveland, just because they've won more and they always seem to hang around and they always seem to be there no matter what kind of hex they have on the division. I don't know, but it feels like they're kind of my number one. Number two is Kansas City, mainly because they have Bobby Witt Jr. and they just feel like they have the energy with him right now. And then I would rank the Tigers. And by the way, these are all like really within margin of error. The Tigers have a really excellent rotation. I don't know if they're going to be able to hit well enough kind of to keep up with everything. I mean, they had Manuel Margot as their fifth hitter today. So it just, that doesn't inspire confidence in me, but kind of in that, I mean, all of them have a chance, but in terms of who I'm scared of the most, it has to be Cleveland, just because they have been the thorn in the side of the Twins for the last decade now.
Where do the Royals sit in all this? Because, I look at ESPN, CBS Sports, all these like season-long predictions, and I see Bobby Witt Jr. near the top of the MVP race for a lot of these. Obviously, it's a team game. Baseball is. One guy can only do so much, but where does Bobby Witt Jr. and the Royals kind of rank for you?
I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. just overall, I think, is one of the top players in baseball. I mean, obviously Shohei Ohtani exists, Aaron Judge exists, but once you get past those two, Bobby Witt Jr. has a really good case for getting his name up there. In fact, if Aaron Judge didn't have the season Aaron Judge did last year, Bobby Witt Jr. is your MVP. So he's an MVP candidate. He fields at a premier position in shortstop. He steals bases. He hits the cover off the ball. He can hit for power. He can hit for contact. I mean, he really is one of the more dynamic young players in baseball. He's gotten kind of the first couple of years under his belt. He's confident. And I think as the Royals, as a team, I still don't quite know how their team functions out, because they are aggressive in free agency. They were a little aggressive on the trade market over the winter, but they don't have the farm system to supplement things either. So if things kind of go haywire with their current addition, they don't have a ton of cavalry on the way. So overall, I think Witt is a scary player. I think the Royals are definitely a competent team. I don't quite know if their ceiling is division winner like people are picking them to be, but I mean, when you have the best player in the division, and I think Witt is that right now between him and J-Ram on the Guardians, but that's, I think, where things sit with the Royals.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense as well. What's one thing we're going to see more of in 2025 with the Twins that we didn't see last year? Like, personally, I'm hoping for some more stolen bases. Okay, I get it. Not Rocco's priority, but I'm not asking for much. Middle of the pack, right, in the rankings. I think we can do that. What do you think? What's something that we're just going to see more of or get more of that we didn't see a lot of last year?
I mean, if you're talking about steals, the Twins were, since Rocco Baldelli has been manager, and it's not 100% on Rocco, but since he's been manager, Twins are dead last in stolen bases across not baseball. Great. But they got one today. So, hey, they're on the board. I think the thing that we'll see more of, and this is only just because of matter of odds, right? We're going to see more games of Byron Buxton, Carlos Correa, and Royce Lewis all in the lineup together. Last year, I think they were only at 30. So they have to, you'd think that the law of averages, they'd have to top that number of kind of high 20s, low 30s of games where all three of them are in the lineup together. Yeah. I have to think that with Buxton coming into this year fully healthy, Correa's had the plantar fasciitis in both the ankles. So you hope that that's done with. And then Royce is going to come back in May. The hope is, but I mean, you gotta hope that all three of those guys are playing a lot of games together. And if they do, this team will have the lineup production to match what their pitching staff is capable of.
All right, last one, then we'll get out of here. Your favorite kind of under the radar guy on the roster, maybe somebody who doesn't get a lot of love that you're rooting for, or maybe your favorite offseason addition is who and why. Like 2 years ago, I loved Michael A. Taylor. He ended up making a huge impact as the backup to Byron Buxton for obvious reasons, but maybe just somebody under the radar that you think needs a little bit more love and spotlight.
Yeah, maybe it's not quite under the radar, but certainly with the star power the Twins have on offense, I think Brooks Lee is going to be really excellent when he gets healthy as well. And he obviously had the back issues last year, had that pop up a little bit in a different way over the spring, and he's going to miss the start of the season. But overall, I'm really excited about what Brooks Lee can bring, because he doesn't have the high-end ceiling that Royce Lewis does, but he certainly has a higher floor. I mean, he just has a baseball pedigree, played at Cal Poly. His dad was the manager for him in college. That guy, whenever I talk about Brooks Lee on Twitter or X or whatever, I always say Brooks Lee, period, baseball player, period. Because that's just what he is. And that guy lives and breathes baseball. I think when he's healthy and you give him a full season's worth, like he's going to get this season, I think we'll see a night. I don't quite know what his spot will be in the lineup, but he will be a guy that Rocco will love to pencil in at second base every day.
Bleeds baseball, literally born to play the game. Absolutely. Totally agree with that high floor for sure, which I really like. Well done. Great to have you back. Twins drop game 1 to the Cardinals 5-3. Good news is 161 more games to go. Huge shout out to all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. All you guys coming in the chat with us from game to game, make sure you like and subscribe. Go check out all CJ's work on X at BombCJ30. All the work he's always ripping up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com. Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman on X. Twins Cardinals game 2 after a day off. That's Saturday. First pitch 1:10 p.m. We'll catch you right here, same time, same place. But until then, signing out.